All right, another video where I don't have the sound for the recording. Couldn't make noise while I was playing, so I just recorded and decided to record commentary over later. It's been a little while since I played it, so it might not be super fresh in my memory. But this was a really interesting first game. It's a shame I didn't catch the initial moves. He started with 4-7, 6-3, and 1. And at that point, I realized I had made a just garbage hand with 4-8-7-2, as you can see in my hand, and also the 5-7-6-2 on the board. And it was really smart of Tezuka. Oh, this is for Yevon's Champions League. It was a 5-game match, potentially up to 5 different rule sets. Ties don't count, so the matchup will go on a long time. This was the first rule set. It was his rule set. You had to use 2 level 6s and 3 level 4s, and all cards must come from only 2 decks. You can change up your 2 decks between games. And so he started in 1. I played in 7, and sort of realized that maybe he could go in 2, but sort of assumed he wouldn't. And then, of course, he finds 7, 6, 3, 6, and 2. And the problem is, now we can't see my bottom cards. Let's see if I can skip around to show it. Nope, no spoilers. So it's a 3, 6, 2, 7. So it had no capture in 4. My only capture in 4 is 7, 3, 5, 8. I picked a hand with an up weakness, badly made hand. Let's pretend this one never happened. His last card, the card you can't see, the card he's picked up actually, is 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 4, 3, 6, which has the combo in 5 if I do capture in 4. But I did a good job calculating, and after despairing for a bit, I realized I think I can walk into it and luck into a tie after. And that's what we're going to see here in this first game, is he took the combo as he should do, but I realized that at the end I can play an 8. Sorry to not go in super detail on this game. I don't have the initial moves, so it's hard to do. But I can go in 8, and let's go back slightly so we can... so the card's back in his hand. And the 8-7-5-3 is just dead enough, right? So if he starts with 4-4-8-7 here in 3, I can play 6-3, 6-7, and 9, and I sneak by with a tie. If he starts with 4-4-8-7 and 6, I can go in 3 and I win. If he starts with 4-4-8-7 and 9, I can play 6-3, 6-7, and 6 and I win. If he starts by trying to get 8-7-5-3 out of his hand, if it goes in 3, I take it with 6-3, 6-7. If it goes in 5, I take it from 9. And if it goes in 9, that is the trickiest move, because anything I put in 6 won't capture it and will be captured. But there I can tie with 6-3, 6-7, and 3. So I found this idea when I went in 4, and it did get me the tie. But man, Tezuka, really strong move in 2, and I had to calculate my way out under significant pressure. So he does end up going in 3, and now we play against the 8-7-5-3. I go in 9, and he ends the game in 6, and we have a tie. So we move on to game 2, but a very poor start for me. And I think a very nicely played game by him, where his starter immediately honed in on the fact I have 2 cards for the same corner, even though my 3-7-2-6 is the plus wall in 2, and that would scare off some players, including probably me. Played really well against the problem of my hand, where these cards in 7 and 8, you can see, just had so little play. And so I think he played a great game, and I was very lucky to calculate my way into a tie. So for game 2, we decided each time we tie, we'll move to the next rule set that hasn't been decided yet. So we went to my rule set to play a random game. And this one, I have the whole one. He goes first, and I immediately thought, this is a great spot for me. I hope I scroll down so you can see his last card here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'll pause here so we can get a peek at all the cards at once. I thought 3-8-2-1 was kind of just a terrible card, right? It's just so weak in so many lines. His hand has very little play against my 7-7 corner. I thought I was pretty strongly favored here. I think he has a tough hand, and obviously I have a high opinion of my random play. But I thought he did a really smart thing to start this game, which is he immediately got rid of the 3-8-2-1 and did it in a way where he has the recapture in 8 and I don't. So I thought, okay, I'll set it up so I have 8 as well. I think that was a reasonable decision here. Also, it plays in the corner that my 7714 wants to go, so it sort of blocks one potential avenue of play for me. So he gets the worst card out of his hand, it has a useful effect, and it blocks the square I most likely want to go in. Yeah, so really good starter, I think, from a tough hand. I go in 9, setting up 7526 for 8. And I thought if he plays with 7266 and 8, which I thought was kind of the main move, play in the in-between square with the highest value facing out, that I had a bunch of setup ideas. For instance, 7714 and 6 sets up 5474 in both 3 and 5. I have a big threat in 5. And I could also maybe start with also 5474 and 4, setting up 7714 for 5. So I thought that card was a really easy card for me to set up against, and I very likely a good play. Again, Tezuka played really smartly here, because he did go 8, but he did not go with the 7 up that I could fight against so well. He went with a 6 up, and again, getting out a card from his hand that he probably didn't want, a card that's really not very dynamic. And this is a much harder card for me to set up against, because if I do use something like 4, 3, 6, 7, and 6, which seems like a natural setup, setting up 7, 5, 6, 2 for 5, there was a big problem there. What was it? I decided that was not good. But why? It must have been because 7266 and 2 sets up 6735 to have both 3 and 5. So he has this really nice setup against the setup I have. And in the other line, I had a bunch of different setups, and I don't think he has good counter setups. But here, the setup card I put in 6, if comboed, will flip 9 as well, which is a problem. That also flips 8. And he has such a huge setup in 2 against it. Now, the downside of this move is that without a 7 facing up, I can capture it immediately if I want, and that's what I ended up choosing to do, which leads to a bunch of complications, but I thought they were okay for me. Yeah, so let's get a shot where it's scrolled down so you can see their last card. He has multiple ways to combo in 6, but my idea is if he plays 2755 there, I can hit him back with 7562 and 4, and I combo everything back with the plus there. If he uses 7266 there, I can't combo back in 4 with 7562, because 2755 and 1 will combo me back, right? I can only use the combo in 4 if 2755 is out of his hand, but 7266 and 6, I can play 4, 3, 6, 7, and 3, and combo everything back that way. But it is pretty risky to hand the turnover when they have a big combo square, because if they can set up combos anywhere else, I'm in a lot of trouble. So the really important thing to check was that he didn't have a setup in 1 or 3 that set up something in 2, and he indeed did not. So I thought this was a good way to try for a win, or at least put a little pressure. He ended up blocking 4, which was smart, and now we pretty quickly head to a tie. I believe I block 6. I do block 6, and he can combo that, but I'm threatening to combo 7562 in 1, so he must keep, well, actually, either of his cards have the plus back, so I guess that's not a very scary combo. Yeah, so he goes 2755 and 3, I go 4, 3, 6, 7, and 2, flipping 5 back, and it's 5, 5, and we get a tie. So those were the first 2 games, and if we hop around a bit, I think the first game, this initial position was really scary, and I was lucky to find this move 7, 3, 5, 8, and 4 walking into the combo, but spotting I did have a tie in the end. He completely outhand played. His hand was better, his play was better, but I am a very good calculator, and that was enough to survive this one. In the second game, I thought I had the better random, but I think he played really well to neutralize that. I don't think this was one where one specifically outplayed the other, because I think I had a bit to work with, but he found good ideas to make it not enough to really be able to push. And with a really good starter in 7, finding a way to use his worst card, picking the right card to put in 8, this was really smart. both making it so he had some play if I went in 5, but I also didn't have good setups. My only setup in 6, he had this really strong reply in 2. So I ended up going for 5, and then he found a tying idea that looks a bit scary. You know, I found a little pressure. It looks scary to play in 4 here when it gives me the plus wall in 1. You know, if that hits at the wrong moment, that can be a problem. But it was all under control, and he finds a pretty comfortable tie. So the first 2 games of the match we tied, and I think, you know, this is 10 Days of Tezuka, a very impressive start from him in our match, and I was quite lucky not to go in behind. He had a better hand than me, and he handled that hand better than I did. And in the second game, where I had a better hand, he gave no ground at all and pretty comfortably piloted to a tie. And I didn't, you know, his start was good enough. I couldn't force him to be super precise or anything like that. He just found his way comfortably. So we tied set 1, we tied set 2. The format is we each have 2 home sets. So the hand set was his set. All hand sets we play will be his sets. The random set was my set. All randoms we play will be my set. And we're currently tied 0-0 because ties do not count. But I think a fun start to the match. And hope you enjoyed these games. I'm going to now record the next few games because I also didn't get the sound on those either. But I thought these were fun ones. And I was disappointed not to press harder in the second game, but I also think he played really well. And so I wasn't going to get to press. And I was disappointed with how completely whomped I was in the first game. But when you escape with a tie, you got to feel okay about that. Cheers.